Thank you for downloading ManageEngine ServiceDesk Plus. In this video, we are going to discuss request templates. Request templates in ServiceDesk Plus is classified into incident and service templates. We are going to see how these templates can be created, configured, and how different they are from each other. Now let's create an incident template. I go to the Admin tab. Under Help Desk Customizer, I have Incident Template. To create a template, I click on Add New Template. Provide the template name, and just below that, you would have access to the Technicians area. Now this is a canvas where you can drag and drop fields and show the template as how it is supposed to be displayed for a technician. I can go ahead, edit fields, make it mandatory so that users will have to fill the field, and also I can go ahead and completely hide a field from a requester so that this field is only accessible for technicians, and when an end user looks at the form, they'll only have the fields which are set as requester can view or requester can set. Apart from that, once these three are hidden, requester will not be able to see the field on the form at all. Also, we have options to create additional fields. So apart from the default fields, if I would need to create more fields, I can drag and drop the additional field from the form. I have different flavors of this additional field: a single line, pick list, multi-select fields, multi-line fields, numeric, date and time, and decimal fields. Also, while I'm creating an additional field, I can say if this is going to be common for both incident and service requests. So all my additional fields that are common between incident and service requests will be displayed with a green dot. At the bottom of the technician's canvas, I get to choose the technician groups who are supposed to see this particular template. So if there are no groups associated, this template is available for all the technicians. Enabling the option Show to Requesters will enable this template for all the requesters. I can also have user groups associated so that users belonging to this user group will be able to see the template. Now, how do I create a user group? Let's take a quick look at it. Under Admin tab, I have user groups. I can create user groups based on email ID, name, department, site, and job title. So this way, I can group users based on different departments into one group: finance, payroll, and HR, for instance. Or I can group users based on sites, New York or California. So this way I can group users, and these user groups will be listed under incident templates, service templates, announcements, and solutions. So once I have configured the canvas, the initial section of the template has been configured. I can click on Save and now configure requester. So this is the requester's view. So this is how the template will be shown when a requester logs in. Over here, I can play around with fields. I can drag and drop them where they need to be so that I can have a preview of how this is going to look like for a requester. Once my requester view is done, I can save and add tasks. While adding tasks, I can add them manually by providing the task title and its details, or I can choose from list of task templates that's available. We would discuss further about this task and its features while working with a service template. Also, once I've done configuring tasks on an incident template, I can go ahead and configure field and form rules to perform automation on fields while loading a form or changing values on the form or while submitting the form. We will also take up a service request to discuss about field and form rules. Now, with all these configuration, the technician's canvas, the requester canvas, my incident template is successfully created. So this template can be accessed under a requester's login. So when a requester logs in, they can have access to the requested template right underneath the issue catalog. Also, when they go into the request tab, they can go ahead, submit a new ticket, and while doing so, they can go ahead and choose the new template that's been created. So this way, end user is forced to fill in the impact and urgency as per the template configuration, provide the subject details, and click on Add Request. Now once the request is created, requester will not be able to view the priority field as configured in the template, and this field is only accessible for the technicians. So now we have successfully completed configuration of an incident template and have also put the same template into use and seen how it works. Now let's create a service template and also understand the difference between service template features and incident template features. I go to the admin tab and I have a dedicated section for service catalog. To begin with the service template, I first need to go to service catalog and start with a service category. These are all the available service categories in my application. Now, if I need to create a software related template, I don't have a software based service category. So I'm going to create a service category, and while doing so, I'm going to choose if it's going to be IT or a business service category. I'm going to fill in the required information in this particular form. Once done, my service category is created. Right underneath the service category, I'm now going to create my template. I click on Add Service and I get the form. So this form looks as similar as the incident form that we just created. So I'm going to give a service name, and compared to the incident template, the naming convention in the service template is a little bit different. There we have technician, requester, tasks, and field and form rules. Over here in service catalog, we have form designer, which is the same as technician's view in incident template. Over here, I can go ahead, play around with the fields that I have, add, remove, set fields as mandatory, visible for requesters. Then I have all the additional fields that I've created under the incident additional fields and set them as common for incident and service requests. Now, apart from that, I can create more additional fields. Let's take a quick look on what are the additional fields I can create in Service Catalog. Under Admin section, I have Service Catalog additional fields. Over here, I have common additional fields, which is any additional field that's created over here is going to be available across all the service categories that I have created. Then I can go ahead, choose a specific service category and add additional fields right underneath that particular service category. While configuring additional fields in Service Catalog, I have single line, pick list, multi-line, numeric, date and time, and decimal fields available. So for a service request, apart from the default fields, I have additional fields which is common between incident and Service Catalog, as well as I have common additional fields for Service Catalog and category-based additional fields. If that's not all, we also have resource section, which is not available in incident templates. This resource section is nothing but additional fields which can be created in a section format. Let's take a look at how this can be created. Now my template is all about software access. So my title is going to be for software requirements. So this is a title, and underneath that I can add as much as questions that is required. So my first question is going to be name of the software. So I can choose a question type. I can either give one option to pick up from, which is a drop-down list, or I could give multiple options like checkbox, so users can choose more than one software, or just get the name from the user, or simply yes or no. So I'm going to prefer checkbox, and I'm going to start filling out my questions. So once my question is created, under the same section, I can go ahead and add another question. I can choose this one to be a plain text field, and I can say specifications, if any. I can click on OK, and the other question is also created. Likewise, I can frame section after section, and on each section, I can have more questions. So compared to incident template, which is just capturing the issue at the moment, service template cannot be taken as light as incident template. It needs to have all the information that is necessary to process the request. So we can use the default fields, additional fields, and resource questions. Also, as we have seen in incident template, we have support groups to restrict this template for different technician groups, and I can show this template to requesters, and I can also restrict certain user groups from accessing this template. Now, what are all the other fields that is different from incident template to service template? We have select approvers. So I can use this field, and when a user is filling out the form, they can choose to whom the request should be sent for approval. Also, I have a field for editor where if there needs to be someone else who has to update more information about the software I'm requesting, I can make use of the editor field. So once the request is created, editor gets a chance to update the ticket, and upon the first update, the ticket then goes for approval process. I click on Save and Configure Workflow. Workflow is a section where it has options for configuring approval, defining service level agreement on tickets, configuring tasks, dependencies, and also performing a couple of template actions. Under approval, we have up to 5 stages of approval, and on each stage we could add as much as members that is required. So based on the type of service you're creating, you can add all the stages as well as much as approvers you require. And there are approval related configurations that you could make use of. Also, to enable someone to be as an approver, let's see where the option is. Under the admin tab, I have requesters and technicians. I can make use of a requester or even a technician to be a service request approver. So I go into the user's profile, I edit their profile, and right at the bottom of their configuration, I have an option to configure service request approver. This way, I can add the members into my service request approval list, and they would be listed as approvers. Now the next section is about configuring service level agreements. The SLA configuration for incident tickets and service tickets vary. For incident, it is configured right under the admin tab, and the SLAs are applied based on condition for incident tickets. So under admin, organization details, I have service level agreements. These service level agreements are for incident tickets only, and they are applied based on any one of the conditions matching the request. The particular SLA is applied. Whereas when it comes to service catalog, we have to predefine the SLA right on the ticket itself. So this way, whenever a user is raising a service request, the SLA information is populated right on the template form even before the user could submit the form. So I can name the SLA based on the hours or days it takes to complete the service. So I'm just going to name it based on days. So I'm going to give 14-day SLA. And I can have response and resolution time. I'm going to give 14 days for completion and 2 days for response. I can enable escalations. I can also perform escalation actions, meaning that during the violation of response or resolution time. Do I need to send it to specific users through email, or do I need to swap the group, assign it to a different technician, change priority, or change level of the particular ticket? So this way I could make use of escalation actions. Once my service level agreement for my service category is configured, it's going to be listed right over here, and I choose the SLA for my service template. Now once that's done, I have options to configure tasks. This is the same task that we saw on incident template as well. To create a task, I click on Add Task. I can give a task name and create them manually, or I can choose them from existing templates. Now I'm going to create a task, and while creating the task, I can set the task as mark or assign. So when I set it to mark, it means the task will not be visible for the technician until the request has been approved. Or when I set it as assign, the task will be visible for the user once the ticket gets created. So I'm going to set all my tasks to mark and click on Save and Add New. Once my tasks are created, I can also draw dependencies. To draw task dependencies, I can go ahead, mouse over the task, and say which one needs to be the parent one. So this way, when there are more tasks available, we can draw dependencies as shown so that we can understand how the task flow is going to happen for the specific ticket. Now, if you have Desktop Central installed, you can integrate ServiceDesk with Desktop Central, and once done, you can unlock these two templates so that right from this particular service request with the Desktop Central integration, you can install or uninstall software right from the service ticket. Now, my workflow has been successfully configured, and I'm going to click on Save and Configure Requester. So this is my requesters view, and this is as similar as what we had in incident template. I can play around with the fields, move them as how it is required, and finally I can click on Save. And then we get field and form rules. Field and form rules is all about configuring workflow so that we can decide how the fields have to be shown for the user when they load the form or when they pull up the form, and how or what are the changes that needs to happen upon changing values, and finally what are the operations that needs to happen upon form submit. We have a detailed product overview video for field and form rules. Using this, you can configure as much as rules that is required. But in this video, I'm just going to quickly show how to create a very simple rule. Since this is a service request, I don't want users to see all the fields at one shot. So I'm going to create a rule to disable the resource questions. So on form load, I don't want to show any resource question. So I'm going to click on Hide Resource, and I'm hiding the software requirements section. Now, I want to show this field only when the user chooses a category. So on changing the category field, I want the resource section to be available. So I'm saying if category is software, then I want to show my resource section. So I'm going to choose show field, and I'm going to choose resource section. If my category is software, then I'm going to use the action show resource and choose the resource question. I click on Save. So my field and form rules is created. My template is perfectly configured as per my requirement. Now let's take a quick look on how it's going to show on the requesters view. Under the requesters view, the incident template for software issue we've created is listed under issue catalog, and the software form that we created for software access is right under software request service category. So when I pull up the software access form, I don't have the resource question available. I'm going to fill in the mandatory information. So I'm going to fill in my subject, and I have my select approvers listed as well as my editors. So if I need to have someone for approval, I can go ahead and choose any one of the approvers from the list of approval. And then I'm choosing the category and I'm setting the category to software. The moment I set the category, I have my resource question listed. I'm choosing the software that's required and I'm clicking on add request. This way, I've created my service request and it's all ready to be sent for approval and ready to be shipped out. Also, while creating a service request, as we have configured the template, we have the SLA displayed right on the top of the form, making sure that we set expectations right to the user regarding the delivery of the software. Here is a small tip regarding sorting the templates. Under the admin section, I have a whole bunch of incident templates. So if I go to incident templates, the templates are around 15 templates. However, when I click on the issue catalog, I get a short list over here. How is this possible? While we were configuring the service template, we did add a service category. So all the service categories that's been created will be available on the incident templates, and a field called service category will be listed, and inside which we are going to have all these service categories listed. So I'm going to edit my form again under incident template, and there is this field called service category, which I'm going to drag right into the template. Upon doing that, I'm going to sort it under software request service category. On doing so, I'm going to click on save and refresh my requester view. Now, if I go to issue catalog, I have the service category listed and my templates are all sorted underneath my corresponding service categories. This way, I can use service category field on all incident templates and sort the listing.